three reasons why I would say the recovery has not been up to the potential. And these three reasons essentially are, one is the vintage of NPAs that were sold by banks to ARCs. They were high in the past. The second reason is the time that ARCs took to aggregate debt, because that is a prerequisite first step for them to proceed ahead for the resolution process. And the third key reason has been the long time that it takes for litigation process in India. Let me elaborate these three in a little more detail. The first one, if I look at when I say that the vintage of NPAs is high, typically time is of essence. When an asset becomes an NPA, it is important to initiate the resolution process at the earliest, because otherwise the recovery potential of an asset keeps coming down. What we have seen in the past is that the average age of NPAs that the banks have sold ARCs has been almost 5 years. Now, which means that on an average the asset has been an NPA already for 5 years before an ARC starts resolving the asset. Clearly, longer the NPA vintage obviously will impact the performance that ARCs can provide. So obviously that is one important reason. The second aspect that as I talked about is debt aggregation. Typically the ARCs, before they proceed for resolution process, need to have a certain minimum level of debt that they need to have legally to be able to initiate SARFAESI action. That threshold in the past has been 75%. And typically we have seen that the time that ARCs take to aggregate debt has been close to 24 months, anywhere between 18 to 30 months, I would say. So that would mean that of the allowed 5 or 6 years that the regulator gives them, almost 2 years goes away only in aggregation, and that leaves them a very little time for them to resolve. The third reason essentially is the time that it takes in the legal process in the country for recovery and the litigation. I think the recovery infrastructure and the timelines of the legal process are too long, and which are outside the control of the ARCs. So our study of about 12,000 crore worth of SRs that we have rated over the past 8-10 years essentially leads us to believe that these are the three key reasons why the recovery hasn't been up to as much of a potential.